Welcome to the Extra Pass podcast presented by Melbourne United. I'm your host, Ben Hopkins, joined as always by my co-host, Adam Ballinger. Balls, how are you today?
Great. Happy to be here on this cold, brisk, but sunny Melbourne morning.
Yeah, feels like -1. Absolute killer this morning.
Yeah, it was cold. I had actually scraped the ice off the windshield this morning.
Do I need to be here, or are you guys just going to have a chat?
If you listen to the podcast, you'd know that we have a little
Eventually
chat.
Gotcha.
And then we introduce our very special guest, which today is Melbourne United assistant coach David Barlow. DB, how are you?
Going well, thanks. How are you?
Frustrated. He's frustrated already. The lights.
The lights, the cords, the robotics. You guys having a chat? Jeez.
Oh, this is what it is. Just it's just a friendly chat between co-workers.
Hoop heads.
Yeah, that's one way to describe us. What's the off-season been like for you, DB? Obviously a busy one. You've been playing with Sandy now that season's finished and doing a lot with United as we prepare for the upcoming year. What's it been like?
Yeah, there's been a bit going on. Obviously, the Sandy season just wrapped up, lost in the grand final. So that's been really, really hard, to be honest. Just been pretty flat, as you can imagine. Really, really wanted to win that one. At some point, I'm sure I'll get to the point where I'll be incredibly proud of that season and that group. Loved that team and really, really wanted to achieve that goal. But moving on and hopefully we can sit here this time next year and we'll still be celebrating. But yeah, obviously the prep for United has been ongoing as well. So trying to juggle those two things has been a bit tricky. Trying to spend as much time with family as possible while doing those two things. Went on a holiday to Noosa, which was one of the best holidays I've ever been on. So heaps going on. How'd
you fit the holiday in? Because you got so much going on, playing, coaching, two teams. How did that Noosa holiday actually fit in there?
Well, we did it after right after the NBL season finished, and we were still in preseason for NBL 1, so went away there, had a little window. To be honest, we went there twice because there's always a Queen's birthday break in NBL 1, so quickly snuck up there again just because we loved it so much that first time. It was the first time we'd actually been on holiday to Queensland for our family, so would want to be doing that again for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us. And it's exciting to have you on. This is our 10th episode, Balls. Can you believe we made it to 10? But I was thinking we should have had you on for the first episode because you would have been podcast rookies with Adam Ballinger as you were in 2003, 2004 when you both came in as rookies together.
I wasn't a rookie technically. If you're an import, you don't count as a rookie. So I guess I had that over, Dave.
It was your first professional season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was my first professional season.
Sounds like a rookie season.
Yeah. Right. I came in as a what do you call not rookies? A veteran. I was a veteran at the start, I guess.
Do you have any memories of veteran 21-year-old Adam Ballinger coming in as an import?
I was not. So how old were you then?
19.
Yeah, I was 23. So 4 years is a lot of time.
So you playing for the Giants?
Yeah, the Giants. The Giants was my first year in 2003, 2004. Yeah,
and then to Wollongong after that.
Yeah, Wollongong. Yeah.
No, I don't remember that Giants team too well. I remember playing them in Sydney one game.
Probably beat them.
Yeah, you probably didn't. It didn't affect you one way or the other. You're going to beat us no matter what.
No, Sydney, those Kings teams were good teams for sure. But I do remember Balls playing for Wollongong the next year, met in the finals. I was obviously still a younger player and definitely didn't match up on Balls too much. But I do you remember import 3-4, Mark Sanford?
Yeah, the like 6'10" athlete. Yeah.
So I vividly remember watching. So he started out as a perimeter player. He was saying he was a 3-man, and the game was different. Let's just kind of preface this by saying, like back then, size was, really, really important across the board. You'd have a team that was just ginormous. Now, speed, skill, shooting has become more prevalent in the game, but. So he came out here as a 3-man, like 6'10", super long, super athletic, and played the 3. Initially played the 4, and then we moved him to the 3. But correct me if I'm wrong, Balls. Do you remember? You might not remember, but I think he was a reasonably right-hand dominant player. But it seemed as though you guys were sending him right.
Oh, geez. See, that's something you'd remember. I mean, I do not remember sending him either way.
I just remember in Wollongong, him catching the ball on the 45 right near the opponent's bench, so the King's bench, and you were guarding him, sending him right. Yeah. He took one dribble to the middle and like just rose up. And
see, I remember blocking a shot a few times. I don't remember.
If you can find footage of that, Ben, that would be elite. Mark Sanford dunk Wollongong.
On Adam Ballinger or just?
We'll see. I mean, he was definitely guarding him.
Well, no, it would have been. If I was supposed to send him one way and he goes that way, that's not my fault.
Okay, yeah, cool.
It's not your fault. It's the help side defense fault.
Those were battles, though, like those Sydney teams Brian Gorgian coached. And then the Hawks teams, I mean, right next to each other, natural rivalries. They were physical games and they were fun. We actually beat you guys that year 2 out of 3 times. So I think once at our place, once at your place. Mm-hmm. Then we got to finals. And you guys played zone and beat us by 33 straight games in a row. We just couldn't figure out the zone.
Right.
So you and Balls obviously not spending a lot of time on each other in those matchups?
It would have been 0. I was a straight perimeter player. Balls would have been playing 4-5.
I was a power forward, 4-5.
And I wouldn't have been playing a whole lot of minutes either.
No, this makes the next thing I was going to say, because I did find one game. It was October 22, 2005.
October 22. That's my birthday.
Is it actually?
It would have been a good day, yeah.
Well,
what happened?
Balls gave you a tremendous birthday present because you had 8 points, 3 boards, 6 fouls. And Balls,
6?
Yep.
6 fouls.
And Balls had
holy moly.
39, 17, but he also took home an L.
Get out, 39 and 17.
Well, this is why I wanted to say.
In 05?
Yeah.
Who are you playing for?
This is Wollongong.
Still Wollongong, right?
Yeah. This is why I was 4 years older than. So if we would have came in at the same time, but I was 4 years older than Dave. But I remember that game. So we were struggling that year.
Wait, where was that? In Wollongong?
It was in Wollongong.
Okay.
We were struggling at the start of the year. I was an import, and that was one game from getting cut because I was playing fine, but not up to what their standards were, and we'd lost a few games. I didn't know this till afterwards, but first half I had 6 points in the first half. I remember going into the halftime, and like the owner of the team gave me a high five. And he's like, "We believe in you," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I didn't know that their solution, they had to do something, was getting rid of me. And then I had obviously a big second half. We lost, but after that we went on a run. We won 7 or 8 games in a row, and we were still a really good team. But yeah, that's how close it was.
So you didn't have it circled as this is Dave Barlow's birthday. I got to go off.
No, I do remember Dave. I remember Dave on the teams.
I would have been guarding like Sav.
Yeah, he was on
Matt Campbell, even Darnell Me at times.
Yeah,
would have been my matchups in those games.
But I guess in those games, it's so exciting when you have a rivalry like that, and then you look at our rivalry with the Phoenix, especially our season opener this year coming in a throwdown right before AFL Grand Final. How exciting are those games to be a part of when you just have a packed crowd and it's an intense rivalry?
Yeah, I mean, those times were always cool. To be honest, back then, the West Sydney Razorbacks were in the league, so Sydney-West Sydney rivalry was big time. Sydney-Wollongong was there for sure, especially meeting in the finals. But I got to say, like, now basketball has moved to another level, to be honest. Like, the games we've had against Southeast Melbourne, the crowd, the passion, it's on another level to what it was back then, I got to say. And I love it. I love being a part of those games for sure.
Yeah, it's something, I guess, as a fan coming in, you sort of think like, oh, these rivalry games, they get played up, but how much does it actually seep into the team, seep into the players? But you reckon it's something that is ultra conscious within, the group is conscious about going into those games?
To a certain extent, yeah. I mean, last year was cool just because of the crowd. Like, there was one game against Southeast last year where I felt like the crowd was pretty split, 50-50. It felt like that anyway. And
it was probably a Southeast home game.
It was a Southeast. I wasn't going to mention that, but it was definitely a Southeast home game. And down the stretch, like, we were going bucket for bucket, and it's this unique environment where the crowd goes crazy with every score. You know, normally it's one team scores and the crowd goes crazy, and if the other team scores, they're silent. But it was like, yeah. I was like, wow, this is wicked. Now, I think rivalries go to the next level when teams meet in the playoffs, and you've got like that next level of intensity and passion and understanding of exactly what's on the line. So when we met Southeast in the semifinals in that COVID year, I think that really helped like stoke that rivalry.
But it would have just been so much stranger playing those intense games, but having like 50 people there watching.
that was unfortunate, but that doesn't take away from the fact that we were in those battles with that team. And, you know, like I said, it takes the rivalry to the next level. So moving forward, I think the rivalry between United and Southeast has grown from that point.
Yeah.
Whereas prior to that, I didn't feel that the things that you're talking about, like a little bit extra desire to win those games. I know you always want to say, like, we want to win every game, but, you know, playoff games, things of that nature, you can't help but have extra levels of anxiety, you know, extra need, extra want to win. And I think the rivalry with Southeast has developed from that point of meeting in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get your take on the team we're putting together and what the team has been like this preseason. We'll hear more about that after the break.
Melbourne United memberships are on sale now. Lock in your seat for the most exciting show in Australian sport and guarantee you're there for every highlight across next season. To find out more, go to membership.melbourneutd.com.au.
And we're back on the Extra Pass podcast presented by Melbourne United with our special guest, David Barlow. DB, we talked a little bit about what this preseason's been like. Take us through the group that we're putting together and what you've seen out of it so far.
Well, I'm incredibly excited about the team we've put together. I think we've got just a group of I was going to say young, talented people, but obviously we have a mix of, you know, mix of ages throughout the group. But it's just a really good group of people and talented players that I'm super excited about watching, you know, working with, etc. We haven't had a whole lot of time together is the thing. You know, guys are away preparing for the World Cup, which is great, but our time together has been limited. So we got a brilliant group. I can't wait for the season to start and everyone to see, you know, the team that we put together. It's been, you know, a long off season trying to find exactly the right pieces and people. And I think we've done a brilliant job in that regard. And coming to work every day is a joy, seeing the improvement, all the players being super receptive. Yeah, got nothing but good things to say about these guys.
Has there been anyone this year that's impressed you more than anyone else? Like maybe surprised you or done a few extra things that maybe you hadn't seen done before?
Not to say like surprised me, but I'm really high on Kyle Bowen. Maybe it's because, you know, in the later part of my career, I played the positions that kind of he's coming into play. And like I said, not to say that it's surprised me because we saw the things that he can do on film. Obviously, we recruited him and saw that, but to see it in person and to see the energy that he has, you know, the love and care for his teammates, the leadership qualities, the winning behaviors, that I think we as a club and definitely me personally, like really kind of admire and prioritize. Like he nails those things. I mean, almost as well as I've ever seen anyone do it. And for such a young kid, I love everything about him. So yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I hate singling guys out. Like Bowen's elite, but everybody's elite.
Yeah, everybody's
so
doing well. But that is, like you said, that's tough to do coming into a team. He's a young guy, played college basketball, but to show those qualities already, you know, coming into a team where everyone's probably older than he is and been around a lot way before him. So that's pretty cool.
For sure.
One thing that I've noticed from KB, you mentioned it, the energy is always like up at 11 from him, which is just something that I know CG mentioned it when he was on the podcast, like having guys come in, especially young guys, and not be timid and not be afraid to make mistakes. It's just guys coming in, wanting to compete and wanting to make each other better.
Yeah, for sure.
He looks like a bruiser out there. Is he throwing guys around like in the post and physically?
Well, I mean, at the moment, we're just limited. We have limited numbers, so he's got to match up on Ari a lot of the time, and Ari's a big body as well. So like the physicality has definitely been present, and yeah, it's eye-opening at times. But him and Ari going at it, that's a tough one.
Yeah, we got to see a lot of these new guys, obviously Bowen, but Ari make his return, and Travis hit the court. Same with Tanner Krebs. In the game against CBU a little bit ago, sort of the first chance to see everyone. I know you weren't there. Obviously, you were with the Sabres, but getting to watch that game back, I guess, what was it like to see these connections start to form on the court?
Yeah, obviously I wasn't there playing in that game. Yeah, I think it was great, and I would expect nothing less given kind of what I've experienced with these guys. Just overall commitment to our style of play and the things that the coaching staff are asking, and then normally from there the results follow. So it was great to see, and expecting more of the same moving forward.
LT has spent a lot of time on the ball, especially with guys like Delhi, Shilly, Flynn all being away through national team duties. What have you seen from him? He just seems like such a versatile piece for this team to use.
For sure, LT's super talented, and I think it's actually good for him moving forward to spend this brief period of time playing the one. He'll spend some time playing the four for us, and a lot of times the point guard and the four are the ones kind of initiating the offense, playmaking, making decisions for the rest of the team. And getting that brilliant understanding of how it all works as a point guard will really, really help him as a four. But LT, talk about surprising. I spoke to him about this. I've only known him as an opponent, playing against him, and now seeing him up close and personal and working with him every day. Again, the word surprised is maybe the wrong word, but his level of talent from time to time does surprise you. Like, he'll do things just like, yo, wow, LT, I actually didn't know you had that, how athletic he is, how good he is with the ball, his vision, his playmaking ability. I'm really, really excited about LT's future.
Yeah, the defense as well, that was something on display.
Super long, super athletic,
CBU
reads the game really, really well, 6 blocks, things of that nature. Yesterday at practice, he would have had a heap of steals, rim protection was great again. So LT is going to be able to affect the game in many, many ways. Super excited about what he can do.
I know he was talking to Roy Ward from The Age, and he was sort of talking about what sort of role he sees for himself in the NBA once he takes that step. And he mentioned a few guys, one of them being Andre Kirilenko, AK-47, a guy that could get to the rim, could shoot the 3 ball, but was also just an absolute Swiss Army knife on defense. Is that a comparison that you see as apt?
I played against Kirilenko. He was really good. LT has somewhat similar attributes in terms of his versatility, his athleticism, etc. I see LT maybe as more of a playmaker, a bit more skilled, possibly more of a perimeter-based threat than Kirilenko. Kirilenko probably a little bit bigger, a little bit longer. But I guess not a bad bloody goal to set. I guess Kirilenko was all time. And LT definitely can affect the game in so many ways, just like Kirilenko could.
Talking about playing against Kirilenko, was that for the Boomers or was that when you were over in Europe?
For the Boomers.
Yeah, obviously.
I want to say he might have been in Europe when I was there, but he was in Russia. I played for CSKA, and I would have been in Spain. So I never played him at club level, but that would have been great because he would have been next level aggressive, affecting the game in a million different ways. But again, playing for Russia, he was very good as well. But yeah, played against him for the national team.
Yeah, I want to talk a bit about the Boomers. Obviously, we're getting really close to the start of the World Cup. You've been at that stage before. Obviously, you got to be with the team in the last World Cup. Can you talk a bit about what these moments before a World Cup is like, and that sort of pressure and that anticipation to try to hopefully secure another medal or win the World Cup for Australia?
What are the moments like? I mean, it's just like to be part of the Boomers is something so special. I'm so grateful to have been able to do that and do that for, I guess, such a long time. With that group of people in that culture, it's like the best. It's the best thing. So what's it like? It's like the pressure, the anxiety. I don't think those emotions are the ones that spring to mind when you talk about time with the Boomers. It's about like just absolute gratitude of being able to spend any time with that group. Like, I was really lucky early on in my career. Like, I started playing for the Boomers when I was probably 22 or something, and then I was like a mainstay on the Boomers teams, and just I went to every major tournament kind of from that point. And then, as you say, I was playing in Europe for a time, and everyone's different, everyone's body's different, and my body playing in a European season for 10 months and then playing for the Boomers in the off season, like my body broke down, unfortunately, and I just was essentially riddled with injuries, right? And then it was like, well, now you're not essentially not good, you're not good enough to be on the Boomers. And I would have not made a team through injury and through not being available, but then it was taken away from me, and it was like it's never coming back. And not to say I took it for granted, but it was just a part of my life. I'm on the national team. That's just what's going to happen. And then I got hurt, and then it was like gone, and it was like, yo, that sucks. Damn, I wish I was part of the Boomers, man. And then I worked really, really hard, obviously, to get back to full health, and to a point where I was like, yeah, I think I'm probably good enough to be on the national team, and had success here, winning games, etc., winning championships, and after 7 years of not being on the national team, like I said, I think I was deserving of a shot, but things fell my way, and I was asked to rejoin the team for the 2019 World Cup, and like I said, I never took it for granted, but it was just part of my life, right? And then it was taken away, and I think I came to the realization of exactly how grateful I should have been to be part of those teams. But then after such a long time, like when I got the call from the head coach at the time, Andre Lamanis, telling me that like, you're back on the team, like I was in the car. And I got, for whatever reason, my wife was like filming that, but I was like in tears, because like I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe like I'm back on the national team. I'm so lucky. I get to go to another World Cup. Like, this is the best thing ever. And I went to that 2019 World Cup, like, holy moly, we were like really close to going to the gold medal game.
Yeah,
and
you guys were cooking that whole World Cup.
It was the best thing. Like, I barely played, but I was like, this is the best team best environment, best everything. I love this. Best thing I've ever been a part of. It was phenomenal. We're about to go to a gold medal game, and we would have had a really good chance of winning that game for sure. But that's the nature of sport. Things happen. And I forgot what the question was, but man, the Boomers are elite, like pretty much in every way. And right now, what a team! Holy moly, I can't wait to see them. And I'm super excited for what they do. But I'm more excited for who they are, right? And I almost want to say who we are, because I just feel like I'm part of that.
Well, you've got your
whether right or
now.
wrong.
You got your Akubra now, so you'll always be a part of that group.
Yeah. So like the other night, we got presented with, I got a bunch of guys that got presented with an Akubra hat, which is like a symbolic thing that the Boomers have done. And again, it's just like these little things. The culture is just so elite, and now they're talking about the recognition and connection of between current and past players, and they wanted to kind of do that. And I'm so thankful that they, like the leaders of that team, Paddy, Joe, etc., have done that. A couple of nights ago, there was a presentation, and we got presented with an Akubra hat with our unique Boomer number. It's like the order of representation that wherever you fall in that line. I'm number 107, so I'm the 107th person to play for the Boomers at a World Cup or an Olympics. And the Akubra hat has the Basketball Australia insignia and my number on it. And I guess the goal is to kind of have some sort of physical representation of your participation with that culture. Somewhat similar to the cricket team's baggy green or whatever. So yeah, I got that the other night, and I thought it was like a brilliant night, and I didn't know that was happening, so I was taken a bit by surprise, and like I'm super proud of it. And like I'm not a big. I was talking to Dino the other day, and Dino was like, "Well, where are you going to put it?" And like I'm not a big like I don't have my jerseys displayed or whatever. Like I just. My home is my home, and that's for me and my family. But so it's like, where am I going to put it? I'm not quite sure, but I know for damn sure that I'll cherish that, like, for my whole life, for sure.
Yeah, well, I could sit here and listen to you talk about the Boomers for hours, but we do have to get to our next break and the next segment, which is Fast Five with Balls. So we'll be back after this.
Cool.
Want to stay up to date with everything happening in Melbourne United? Download the Melbourne United app today. Filled with videos, audio, and articles about your favourite team. It's the one-stop shop for everything Melbourne United. Download the Melbourne United app via the App Store on iOS or the Google Play Store on Android.
And we're back on the Extra Pass podcast presented by Melbourne United, and it's time for Fast Five with Balls.
Ready?
This is Fast Five with Balls.
Been waiting for this the whole time. Now we're on to the fun stuff. Yeah, they're hard hitting, so I hope you're ready. All right, jumping straight into it, Dave. Okay, so like we talked about when we came in together, 2003, 2004, I think this would have been the second year. I think it would have been a preseason game. You know, you played preseason games, and we would have been close. So Sydney, Wollongong, just drive to some small gym.
Manly.
Was it Manly?
I want to say.
He's got.
Did you have
memory.
Cortez Groves?
We had Cortez Groves the second year. Mike Kelly was a player coach by that time. He actually played a little bit, but he kind of got cut to be a coach.
Gotcha.
So it was a preseason game. And I don't remember how the game went, but after the game, they give us like pizza and like pop.
We probably cooked you guys, I think.
No,
I think we cooked you guys.
I don't remember. I probably
I'm
had
sensing a theme when
I
you
probably
guys
had
played.
like 39 and like 18. No, but after the game, like the two teams, you sit down, they at least feed you. There's like pizza and like Coke and Pepsi.
Yep.
Everybody's sitting down, talking, eating, stuffing their face with pizza and stuff. And Dave's the only guy, this young guy, skinny guy walking around, not sitting down. And he's walking around asking the people around. He's like, "Do you guys have a Powerade? Anyone got a Powerade or a Gatorade or something like that?" So you wouldn't eat any pizza. You refused to eat the pizza or drink pop. And from then on, I just thought this guy is like, there's nothing. He won't do anything outside of what makes him better at basketball. Is that still your drink of choice? Have you ever had a slice of pizza? What's your diet like now?
Nah, I mean, definitely not. And to promote Powerade or Gatorade as the gold standard of health, I'm not quite sure about that or where my head was at there.
Back then, you were big on them.
All right. Are you sure about that? I'm not sure.
Maybe it was another drink you're asking for. Maybe it was just straight up water or like something. Like, do you have a bottled water or anything like that?
That's possible. But no, you know what? I was fully committed to trying to be the best version of myself for sure. And like I wanted to do everything in my power to achieve that. And I think back then it was more like I had like a sore back or sore knees, and someone was talking to me about inflammation and you know what you put in your body can really, really affect those things. And I just wanted to be fully healthy, really. Like I wanted to go into a game and practice and not hurt and be able to like compete and play hard and play athletically without, you know, the hindrance of any pain. So like for a while there, I really, really took seriously what I put in my body for sure.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious you've done that your whole career. That's why you've been able to play so long.
I've taken preparation seriously for the majority of my career. I think players have an obligation to like take it seriously and try their hardest. Like you're getting paid to play basketball. Like you should put your whole heart into trying to be the best version of yourself. And like if you succeed or fail, if you fail, at least you've tried your hardest. I always took that seriously for sure. I do think having children kind of at least allowed me to relax a little bit and to say that,
well, you've got to make some concessions.
Got to make some concessions.
You can't, all your time can't be basketball. After
exactly
that.
right.
Yeah.
And also at the same, like back then it would have been like, my whole life, my happiness, everything is dictated by how I perform and where I go in this game. Right. Which I don't think is in the best interests of performance, definitely not happiness. So having kids and just having that understanding of, like you say, concessions of like, well, look, I just can't do that right now. But also, well, what's the most important thing in the world, right? And it is not whether the ball goes through the hoop or not. And definitely my mentality was that when I was younger. So things have changed a little bit, yes, in my life for sure. So given you know life experiences.
So can we confirm you have had a pop and a slice of pizza in the time since?
I'm big time pizza guy. But you know what? Like this is stupid information, but I got celiac disease. I can't have like gluten, man. It sucks so bad. So
you can't have gluten.
I can't.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm like a big pizza. I love food. I love all food. But all I can have is gluten-free pizza. And you know, some places do it really well, but it's just not
the same.
It's not quite the same. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Okay. So we were talking about that. This leads into the next question. So your career, long career, still playing, still look the same. What are your like? How do you think you've been able to do that? You know, everything from stretching to preparing for the game to like watching film to your diet. And it's not like you haven't had injuries either. You know, you've been up and down with that. So, like, what do you think the top three things are, if you can put it down to three things of a long career?
Well, yeah, it's, I mean, worst part about being a professional athlete, I think, is the injuries. I ruptured both ACLs, which kind of put me out of the game, and I think kind of limited my opportunities at some point to kind of play maybe overseas and at a younger age, or explore opportunities in the States. Maybe those were kind of unfortunately timed, I think, those injuries. But I think you asked for three things. I think, to be honest, two just spring to mind, and that is strength and mobility. Like, I always took those two things seriously. I think those like the endeavor of achieving great strength and mobility were ingrained in me from a pretty young age. Like I said, I ruptured my ACL once on each side, and the first time I did it, I was 17, and just started hanging out with my wife at my current wife, obviously wasn't my wife at the time, and her mum was a yoga teacher, and I ruptured my ACL. And prior to that, like, I was like enamored by like basketball in general, the culture, everything. And like, I wanted to, like, I was big time into street ball at the time, and that kind of like the player that was just so in tune with the game that, hey, anytime, anywhere you want to play, I'll play. Like, I don't need to stretch. I don't need to do anything. I'm just a basketball player. Like, put me on the court and I'm going to play. Like, that was me as a kid, right? I had that kind of mentality for whatever reason. And then I ruptured my ACL, and it was like, well, hang on, damn, if I had taken better care of my body, maybe I wouldn't be in this damn predicament.
I don't know. At 16, there's not many kids that are like, I need a half an hour stretch session before I get on the court at this park.
Anyway, whatever. So, but whatever, I went through that kind of emotional journey. And my wife's mum, she was a yoga teacher. She taught Iyengar yoga, which is like a kind of, for me, that's the only type of yoga. But from that point, I started to feel better. I came back from the knee injury. I was like, damn, I'm more athletic. Like, I feel so good doing this. I don't have any pains anywhere in my body. And I put it down in part to kind of the yoga that I was doing with my mother-in-law, and I just, from that point, stuck with it, and I love it for the health benefits, but also the performance benefits and the mindfulness kind of part. So I've been doing that ever since. And at the similar time, I was just started lifting weights with like a legend of kind of basketball in Melbourne and in our country, a guy by the name of Bruce Gray, who was the strength and conditioning coach for the Titans. That's an old professional team that Brian Goorjian was a coach of, and I was a development player for them.
Titans legend Adam Ballinger.
He played for the Giants.
Titans, Giants.
So
yeah. But we did lift with Bruce Gray.
Right.
But he'll have you doing like squats with like 800 pounds on your back.
For sure. Like,
he's old school.
Yeah, but he's my upbringing essentially in weight training.
Yeah.
So I believe wholeheartedly in his philosophies, and like what he taught me has stuck with me, right? And I've spent time with him, time away from him. I've come back to him, and he's helped me rehab from injuries. But whether working out at his gym with him or away overseas, I do exactly what he says, essentially. And I will continue to do that for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah, I think that's the key, is like, you've done it. Most people do that for like a couple years, or like at least when you get to later parts of your career, mid-30s, a lot of those things tend to go, but none of those, I think you've just stuck with those. None of those things tend to go with you.
So like, I think like strength and mobility, and that's essentially was my journey in it. My mother-in-law, and then Bruce Gray, who taught me kind of how to lift weights. I think that pretty much helped me to play for as long as I did. And yeah, I'm so super thankful for Bruce Gray and everything he did for me. Like, he's one of the best people and an absolute legend of our game. And a lot of people actually probably don't know about anyone who plays basketball probably knows him, but like the general public actually don't know the significance of this guy and the effect that he's had on like so many careers. You know, like, he's an absolute legend of our game and a brilliant person.
All right, well that segues into the next question. I didn't.
How good we're segueing like really well.
But I'm just getting better and better at this. Talking about legends, so Goorjian, a legendary NBL coach, and when you started with Sydney, he was always the coach there going against us in Wollongong. Always really respected his teams, and it seemed like the players really revered him and loved playing under him, even though he's a pretty hard-nosed, tough guy. And then all the Boomers stuff, he's back with the Boomers now. What do you think? Just a couple things about Gorge that make him such a great coach.
Yeah, I was really lucky to be involved with Gorge from such a young age. So yeah, like I played for him my first year in the league, but prior to that, I already had a relationship with him. Like I said before, I was a development player with the Titans. I actually started training with them when I was like 14 years old. So, I mean, like he allowed me to do that. So that was like brilliant for my development as a player. Like I idolized those guys that back then, like Jason Smith, Frank Drimmick, those teams, Mike Kelly. Like I got to go and train with those guys and against those guys when I was 14. I mean, they would have cooked me but to be able to do that was brilliant. And I stayed in touch with Gorge and then ended up becoming a development player for the Titans. Like I said, when I was around about 16, and that was big time. That team went bankrupt or whatever, and I had nowhere to play. And Gorgon helped me to find a place to play in college in the States. And his friend Mike Dunlap was coaching at Metro State, and I went to play there for a year. And after that, I started playing professionally with Gorge in Sydney. So, like, he's helped me out from such a young age, and super, super thankful, like I said, to have been involved with him. And two things about him. I guess the intensity, like I said, I went to Dunlap in college, and they're somewhat similar. They're different, obviously, different people, different coaches, but they have similar attributes in terms of their intensity, their love for the game, their passion, the way they coach. And I guess that intensity is one thing to consider with Gorge, like his passion, his love for the game, how much he demands of his players, the level of intensity he demands from his players is really, really high. And the second thing maybe is the way or the passion he has or his commitment to development of young players, right? So that was huge for me, obviously, being able to be involved with him from such a young age, but specifically when I was in Sydney, like I took tremendous leaps. Like I said, I had that ACL injury where I was out of the game for a while, and then I came back and went to college and started my professional career in Sydney. Like I wasn't the player that I wanted to be or needed to be, and he took me from like a player that had great potential to somewhat, I guess, achieving my potential as a player. And I think his commitment to and his passion for development of young players, combined with his intensity, helped to make him like something special.
Nice. Okay, I'm switching on this one. I had something else written down. So
no
this
segue?
This is no segue. Just off the top of my head here. What game was it that you had in the NBL that you had like 20 for 20 in a game or something like that?
Oh, the perfect game.
Yeah, the perfect game. What game was that? What were
14 for 14.
14 for 14 in the game.
8 for 8 from 3.
8 for 8 from 3. When was that? I remember hearing about that and just being like, David Barlow.
That was 07-08 season.
07-08.
Yeah, I was playing for Melbourne Tigers, playing against New Zealand at the cage.
You finished with 37. I know you wanted to keep it perfect, but was the itch there to be like, I'm 1-3 away from 40?
No, like I think I said in the press conference, like I didn't care. I don't know, I was just playing the game.
Yeah.
That wasn't going through my head.
Did you know you had missed a shot?
When I came to the bench, because I was sitting on the bench, I think next to Crosby and Stephen Hoare. And I think Horry, he went perfect that game.
I was going to say, Horry's another guy who, for a season, he shot like incredibly well. He was a knockdown shooter.
He was 7 for 7, I think, that game.
Oh, but yeah, did him big time.
Overshadowed him.
So we were sitting there on the bench, and he was like, "Did you miss today?" And I was like, "No, look, I don't think I missed." He was like, "What about free throws?" I was like, "No, I only had one free throw, and I made it." Because he was thinking in his head, he was like, "I didn't miss either." But while you're out there in the game, I'm not thinking about all that. If I was open, I would have shot another one. But the game came to an end, and like I wasn't out there taking bad shots. I wasn't thinking, I'm cooking, I'm just going to take another shot. We were up, like I don't know, it just wasn't that. If it was a close game, and bottom line, I didn't care. Like, but after the game, I knew that I didn't miss for sure.
All right, last one. Okay, so I was at your Wikipedia. It did say, like 2002, you had 1 year college. What was that like? I didn't even know that for the Roadrunners. But Metro State was that Division 1?
Division 2.
Did they get a lot of Australian guys at that time?
Yeah, so I was there with Luke Kendall and Mark Worthington at the time, and prior to that,
that's
there
where
was
Wortho went. Yeah, okay.
And after that, like Jesse Wagstaff, Nick Kay, Mitch McCarron, they all went there.
That's right. What was that like? I mean, how different was that from what you'd come from in the Sabres, and then what you came back to?
Yeah. Well, like Dunlap and Gorgon, there are definitely similarities there.
So it's actually
like
pretty
I
similar.
remember my first day back in Sydney, Dunlap used to, like, if you we had 2 courts next to each other that we trained on, and if you mess something up, he'd be like, get your ass on the other court and run, like run with a medicine ball above your head or something along those lines. And I remember my first training back with Sydney, I messed something up. This was like preseason in 2003, and I messed something up, and Gorgon was like, get your ass on the other court. This was at Alexandria in Sydney. Get your ass on the other court and run. And I was like, yeah, well, this is exactly what I've been through. This is normal.
I just left this.
Yeah, but what was it like? It was really great for me as a basketball player, like Dunlap. Again, talk about gratitude of being around certain cultures and people. Like, I'm really lucky to have gone to him, and to have had that season with him was brilliant. I'm really lucky. He's like a brilliant basketball mind and everything like that. Now, life, though, I was miserable.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because a lot of leaving Australia, especially when you're around a beat, growing up, you got it's a good life over here, like growing up in good areas, and then going over to America, you never know unless you're going to a huge college. Yeah, you know a lot about it. It's kind of like you never know what you're getting into, and then it's just a way of life, and the college atmosphere is so much different than what you're used to over here. Yeah,
I think some people like go to different colleges and have the best experience ever, and like I'm sure like the guys I played with, Kendall and Werther, I'm sure they loved it. They spent 4 years there. They loved it. Like for me personally, just my life away from basketball, there was not. I wasn't happy, and I think in part I was already dating my wife, my wife Tiwa, who became my wife, and I was just like, damn, I miss her. Like I just, and it sounded back then, like as a kid, like Dunlap, he was like, what, like. Yeah. You're a child. You don't know. I was like, no, I know. Like, I know. Like, obviously, things turned out like our life has been. I mean, for me, incredibly happy, and obviously got 3 kids together and things of that nature. But back then, I'm sure Dunlap was like, "What are you? Like, come on, mate. Like, you're
how old
12
are you?
years old. Yeah, like 18 years old.
18 years old. Yeah.
But I was just miserable. And I was like, I just don't want to. I'm so happy when I'm playing basketball. I'm so happy when like Dunlap when I'm around you and the team and like. Playing and everything, like I loved it, but as soon as I left, I was like, left the court. I was like, I hate this.
Plus, there's pizza everywhere. College kids are always eating pizza and drinking, and probably wasn't your scene.
Well, he's celiac, so he can't even have.
No,
I know. I didn't know that. I just thought he hated pizza.
No, I love pizza. This only happened. The celiac thing is like 2 minutes ago. Like, no, I've been eating pizza for sure my whole life.
Well, that's good to know. Well, Barlow, amazing to have you on the podcast. We appreciate you coming on and sharing so much about your career and the team. We're also excited to get through the rest of this preseason and head towards September 28 against the Phoenix.
Thanks for having me. Anytime. Good chat, huh?
You'll come back? Anytime?
I'm sorry to interrupt you guys at the start too. Like,
no, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm happy to just listen to you guys talk the whole time. I'm happy to come back for sure.
Next time, it'll just be us 2. Yeah, and you just listen.
You can just listen. And then
it'll be an episode.
If you feel the need to interject, you can. Well, thanks so much, Barlow. We appreciate it.
All right, later.